I really want to try to use the time we have to kind of go through that. And so let me start by, asking you this, Joe, when you're breached, right? You
Yep.
notice I'm not saying if.
Oh, I know.
I'm saying when you're breached, there's two things I want to know. Well, three actually. One, in your mind, how confident are you at that point? You know you've been breached based on what you have in place and the vendor you have. On a scale of 1 to 10, today, how confident are you that you're going to navigate it in the best possible way?
Oh, probably about a 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yep.
And is there some value to getting to an 8? Like,
Of course there's a value to getting to 8.
do you think you can get there without making changes on your side or maybe investing more in a vendor?
No.
Okay. Does your management team understand that there's a gap and you're probably going to have to make some investments of either time or money to be able to close that gap?
Yeah. The big question is, what are those gaps? We've identified all the gaps. A lot of them are people and processes,
Yeah.
not necessarily technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time you're on the right track, man. You're on the right track with that. The second question I want to ask is, what would be the impact? Let's say that during this event that you were down for 2, 3, 5, 7 days. Does your management team understand that that's where it could be, and what would be the impact on the business from a high level?
I don't think they understand that it could potentially be that long. I know that we have weathered a 48-hour downtime due to power outage in the area that we couldn't do anything about because our UPS went down at the same time.
You lived through it?
We lived through it. Because we don't provide critical patient care. That allows us to weather it.
So that's not the worst thing in the world, you're saying.
It's
bad,
not the worst thing in the world. What would be worse is if our data is filled.
That was the next question. So what would be the impact if some of that sensitive data was exfiltrated?
Yeah, I can't speak for the company, but I would say we'd probably end up closing down.
Pretty significant.
It's extinction level event.
Yeah. Absolutely. So one of the things are, you've been working with this vendor for 9 years, and the short thing I'll tell you is, just based on what you described, I think the good news is, I think you have a pretty good you've educated yourself and you have a pretty good understanding of some things, and I think alluding to you don't know what you don't know. So
that's exactly right.
That's good news. The bad news is, and I can get into more detail on it, but based on the relationship your vendor provides to you and the amount they charged you, they're not really involved or responsible for anything in your security today. And so either you got to get all the way there, which I can tell you in my experience of doing this for the last 20 years, really difficult, like to do it for you in one environment. Like we're doing it across 60 customers, right? And so we get to see this in real life. And so what we want to kind of lay out for you, and we can get more information, but we want to kind of lay out a journey for you. We want to explain to you how we approach it, what standards we use, what policies we have in place, and then how we do that for each of our customers, so that you can see the tools, the roles, the process, all those key things, and even how they match up across, a standard like NIST. So you can actually see where they fill in. Does that sound kind of what you're looking to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to gather my thoughts on that one. If I had that 2 years ago up front, someone to come at me and say, look, this is the path you need to take, instead of me having to discover it, I think I would have been in a much better position. But at the same time, the education's been extremely valuable, and now I actually have another chance for a different career path down the road, just with the knowledge set that I have, which that's just kind of a silver lining plus.
Well, I think the big thing here is that's all good, but what it's resulted in is that the level of risk that you have said that the
Yep.
company has today compared to a year or more ago is dramatically different. And so let me tell you, for us, like what a next step would be is we would want to come back out, and I really want to kind of drill into some of the details about what you're doing, where you are in your business, and what the vendor is doing, so that we can start to tell you where we see those with those gaps. If we have to get into more detail, we can do that as well. But that would be the next step. So a couple questions I had for you are, let's just say we run through this process and you think that we're the best thing since, sliced bread. What would happen then?
Well, then we would need to probably have a proposal to figure out how we get from point A to point B within a budget.
Awesome. And what if I ballparked it for you today and told you you're spending $2,200 a month now? We're probably going to be between 4,000 and 5,000 a month. Then what would you say?
I would say I would definitely need to sell that to management because it doubles our cost, but it may very well be worth it.
Yeah.
And if you're ballparking it for me, that's more than any MSP is able to do, typically speaking.
Yeah, listen, there may be some projects or things to do that we'll uncover together, but
yeah,
you'll evaluate those, and they're not really our issues; they're your issues, and you're going to tell me as we uncover them that those things make sense and over what time frame that we do them. So here's kind of what I'm suggesting. I would like to go to the next step with you. I think that you're a perfect fit for us. Is this a conversation you need to have with somebody else, just based on this high level framework? And is it one you want me involved with, where we can kind of talk through this at a non-technical level with your team about where you are and where you need to be? Because really the question for them is, your costs aren't really going up. You're just going to pay for them differently. We both agreed there's a cost to being a 2 on that scale, 1 to 10. Can we agree?
Oh, absolutely. No question.
You understand it, but maybe the decision makers, the people that hold the budget might not understand it. Do you think that's a good meeting that we could have together?
Yeah, let me check with them. I'll find out.
Yeah, because if we can have that conceptual meeting and prove that value and it makes sense, this is what we do, right? I'm talking to a couple of business leaders a week. I'm confident we can go, and I can tell you, you won't have to look at us for red flags. We're going to present any red flags that we see because we're looking for a long-term relationship. So I think we both have to be interviewing each other through this.
That would be great.